All stress is self-created. And it's created because of the mind's perception of not being safe. It all has to do with this perception of danger, of threat, of being unsafe in some way. That's the cause of all stress, whether it's physical or emotional or financial, which is just a variant of physical, or existential. All of it really boils down to the perception that in some way that thing is threatened. Your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, the security of your existence is in danger. That is the source of stress, that's the cause of stress, the perception that we're not safe. So, let the entire focus be on fostering an internal environment of safety, the feeling of safety, of security. Because it's really all about the feeling. If you feel safe, you know you're safe. And you continue to feel it no matter what is happening around you. If you feel safe, you can be on a battlefield with things exploding around you and not be concerned, not be upset by it. You don't lose contact with the stability, the security of yourself. The feeling of safety supersedes everything. When you feel it, you know it. You know it in a way, again, that is beyond appearance, beyond the circumstance, beyond what looks like it's happening around you. When you are so aware of the security of your soul, of yourself, that you know you are intact even in physical destruction, even in the experience of death, that which you are remains intact. It's safe. You are safe. Even with the end of this physical form, you don't end. Nothing about you is harmed. All that you are, all that is important to you, all that you know, all that is really you, remains, stays the same, stable and secure and well and loved. And when you are in contact with that knowledge, you feel safe and you realize there is no threat. You perceive that there is no such thing as danger. Nothing can harm you. Nothing does harm you. And of course, as within, so without, that becomes reflected in the world around you. But it's not even about that. It doesn't matter what happens in the world around you. You've got your safety. You've got your security. You are grounded in it. You're rooted in it. And as long as you have that, you know you're good. And you feel good. And you feel your unconditionality and your infinity. You feel the eternity of yourself, which is life. You feel the true stability of your being and the wellness of it. The wellness of it that is so certain and steady and sure that nothing can touch it. Nothing touches it. Nothing changes you being well. Not one thing. So, I've got this notion that the release of all stress and suffering could just be called suffering. I'm going to call it stress in this case, because that word suffering has a bunch of other connotations and associations, and it's gotten a little vibrationally tangled for me, at least. So I'm going to introduce a new word that has less vibration attached to it, in my experience. stress. The end of stress is the realization of your perpetual safety. How do you realize your safety? By noticing the thoughts that contradict it. Noticing the thoughts that create the sensation of threat. You just start noticing them. Maybe you don't see the thought at first. Maybe you just start feeling the feeling. You start feeling anxious. You start feeling uncomfortable, nervous. And you realize, oh, there was a thought there that triggered this. There was a thought. Maybe it was a thought that you thought years and years and years ago. And you didn't even realize was still banging around in there. So you're not even conscious. You didn't consciously think this thought, but it's in there and it tripped a wire and recalled that sensation of being in danger. Well, you can start in the feeling, and from the feeling say, what is it that I feel? What do I feel is in danger here? What do I feel is being threatened? Is it an emotional stance? My emotional stability or well-being? Is it my physical well-being? And from there, you can sort of trace it back into, well, I had a thought which generated this belief, this sensation. My body believed it because I wasn't paying attention to it. So it just took it as truth. I aligned with it without realizing. My body believed it and reacted as it would to danger. So what's the general content of that thought? That I am not safe, that my physical well-being is threatened, that I'm not safe around other people, or that I'm not safe to open my heart up to somebody, or that I'm not safe to follow desires, that I'm not safe to want things, that I'm not safe to give my love. Just feel into it. You don't have to have the exact thought, you just need the general content of it to recognize, to notice. I have a pattern of thought that is fostering a feeling of unsafety within me. Now that I've noticed it, I've made it conscious, now that I'm aware, I can start choosing a different thought. And I can begin, before I even choose a different thought, I can begin by just looking at that one and seeing that it's not serving me. Seeing that it feels bad. Thinking this thought doesn't feel good. I can think this thought on purpose and I can feel the way it feels and feel that it's not a nice sensation. I can feel the ickiness of this. And from there I have all kinds of information. From there I learn, well, this thought, first of all, isn't a thought generated by me. This isn't something my soul is thinking, because if it was, it would be in alignment with my soul. And if it was in alignment with my soul, it would feel good. It wouldn't feel bad. So I can know right away, this is not a thought generated by myself. This is not a thought that my soul believes, that myself, my true self, which has the whole picture, believes. So I can know the falsehood of this thought by the very way that it feels. That's pretty helpful. I can know that it's not serving me, because a thought that doesn't feel good is not supporting my well-being. It's not supporting the truth. And as it happens, what serves me the most is to feel good. That is where I am most served, in feeling good. So if I'm thinking a thought that doesn't do that, it's not true and it's not serving me. Next thing, I don't have to think a thought. I don't have to. I don't have to think any thought at all. I can show that to myself all the time. I can just put thought down. But I especially don't have to think a thought that doesn't feel good. If it doesn't feel good, why am I thinking it? Ask yourself that. If this story doesn't feel good to me to tell, why am I telling it? Why am I telling a story that I don't like? Well, habitually, just out of habit, because it was conditioned, because you never noticed before now, because Maybe you didn't know you had the choice. Because there was probably another thought underneath that one that said, I have to keep telling this story. But guess what? How does that thought feel? How does the thought feel, I have to keep telling this uncomfortable story? Does that thought feel good? No? Then you don't have to think that thought, and it's not true. So now that we're examining these thoughts and seeing there's not actually any credibility to them, there's not actually any weight to them, they don't actually mean anything. These are just statements. They're not true. They're statements. And by holding them, by trying them on in your mind and feeling the way that they feel, you can determine true or not true, for me or not for me. If it doesn't feel good, it's not true and it's not for me. And it's that simple. There doesn't have to be any other feeling around it. There's no judgment of it in terms of indictment. It's not a bad thought. It's not wrong. It's very helpful, actually. It's contrast. It's helping you decipher the truth. It's helping you hone your discernment by the way that it feels. You try it on by thinking it. You see the way it feels. If it doesn't feel good, you know by that, this isn't mine. And I put it back. That's it. I put it back now. I just put it down. I didn't realize I had been carrying this story around, this collection of thoughts, this belief, because a belief is just a thought or a collection of them that you keep thinking and sort of give credibility in your story because you're continuing to think them. But once you notice them and you notice the way that they feel and you realize you have a choice to continue thinking that thought or to just put it down, then that thought no longer has any power over you, and you have the power to just choose a better feeling thought, to choose a thought that actually supports you, to choose a thought that you believe from your soul. And you know you believe it from your soul because of the way that it feels. It feels good. It feels right to you. It rings true. All of that means it resonates in you. It lights you up. That's the resonance that you're looking for. It's a good feeling thought. It's a thought that supports your good feeling. It's a thought that supports your awareness of your wellness, your worthiness, your lovedness, your security, and your well-being, your safety. That's a true thought. So let everything be tested, be weighed within your heart. Does it feel within you? You have the power of judgment, the way that Anubis does. Let all statements be weighed within the chamber of your heart. If they feel light as a feather, you know them to be true. You know them to be pure, authentic, real. Yes, I am in alignment with this. If this thought feels light to me, if it is uplifting, then it's mine. Then it is something that my soul believes, that it approves of, and it is in alignment with and agreed with by all of the universe. And if there is an ounce more weight in it than that, it's not mine. And I put it down. And I look for the thought that feels better. I look for the lighter version, the truer version of that thought. And then you just start practicing a new thought and telling a new story. And if it's too hard to jump straight into that, you can just stick with putting the thought down in that moment. Just practice putting down a thought that doesn't feel good. Start noticing, start paying attention to the thoughts that you're thinking and the stories that you're telling and seeing how they feel. Is this a story that supports my knowledge of my perpetual wellness and security? Is it? If it's not, why am I telling it? because I thought I had to. Okay, now I know I don't have to. So now what? Well, I can start by just not telling that story anymore. And as often as I notice myself telling it, I'll catch it and go, oh, that's that old story again that I no longer believe. I no longer give any credence or credibility to that. That's not my story. It's made up. It is all a story. It is all imaginary. It's just an idea. It's not real. So I'm not gonna carry that forward anymore. And instead, I'm gonna tell the story that feels good. I'm gonna tell the story that's true. And I know it's true by the way that it feels. It feels good to me. So I'm gonna pay attention when I feel unsafe, or if I notice a thought that creates a feeling of unsafety, and I'm gonna catch it quicker and quicker. I know I am. The more I practice this, the better I will get at it. I'm gonna notice those thoughts when they happen, and I'm gonna just examine them. I'm gonna just look at that thought and go, how does that feel? How does it feel to think that? Does that feel good to me? No? Then it's not serving me. So I'm gonna set that one aside and say, what is a thought that does serve me? Instead, I'm going to introduce a new thought here. We're stopping this pattern and we're creating a new pathway in this moment. What is the thought that I want to think? That everything does work out for me. That I am worthy. That I am cared and provided for in abundance. That the universe has my back always and is always working for me. That all is well and everything is always working out for my highest good, and only good comes from this. Only good comes to me. And I am safe. I am secure. Nothing can touch me. I'm going to think a thought of my being is infinite and eternal and well. I'm going to bring into my awareness the infinity of all things, the absolute abundance of all things, the truth that time is unlimited. All that is unlimited. And so it can't be spent, and it can't be wasted, and it can't be lost. So everything's okay. It's all well. I'm not missing anything. I can't lose anything. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to just start thinking these thoughts, and I'm going to practice them. And I'm going to practice putting down thoughts that don't feel good. And I'm going to notice, and I'm going to hold them in my hand. Practice holding a thought in your hand. You're examining it just like it's an object, because it is. It's an internal object. It's a non-physical object, but it's still an object. So hold that thought in your hand. Look at it. See that it has no effect over you. You're not attached to it. It's not attached to you. It's just there. Look at it, feel the content, feel the texture of it, and say, is this a thought that I want to think? Does this thought feel good to me? No? Okay. Thank you for showing me what I don't believe. I kiss you, and I set you down, and send you on your way. I release you in love. Thank you for showing me what I don't believe. Because now I know what I do, and now I can focus on what's true for me. And I can stand in that and shine that knowledge, bask in my resonance, in the deliciousness of that. This is what I know to be true. I am good. I'm so good. So indescribably, infinitely, abundantly good in every way. My being is provided for perfectly. Everything comes to me, everything that I want. My desire is sacred and righteous and right to have, and I am right to bask in it, in the deliciousness of it. I'm aware that my desire is the evidence of its own fulfillment. And so I'm just standing here going, God, everything I got is good. And I got everything that I want. And I keep getting And I keep desiring and I keep enjoying my desire. And this is just a joyful journey. And I learn more and more and I become more and more. I receive more. And as I receive more, I flow more. And everything around me receives more. We're just growing here. There is nothing about my being that ever can possibly diminish. I only become more alive, more aware, more joyful, more loving, more excited about all of this creation. More. Nothing about me ever becomes less. Nothing about me ever can be lost. I become more conscious in this, and as I do, my joy and satisfaction in all of this increases. Those are the thoughts that I'm choosing to think. I'm just going to let myself roll on that rampage. I'm going to start more momentum down this pathway and know that it takes over. It overrides those old thoughts. And when they come up, that's okay. So they still got a little momentum. I'm not adding to it anymore. I'm just going to let them peter out. I'm just going to notice them. And I'm going to let them peter out. And they will. Because I'm not adding to that anymore. I'm not on that train. I'm on this one. This is where my focus is. This is where my attention and my energy is. This is what I'm building up. This is where I'm going. And everything adds to this. Everything fosters this. My mindset of absolute abundance and radical worthiness and total perpetual safety, security. Everything adds to that. You have that power. You have that power. Take it. Use it. That is your ability, and you can do it now. Nothing and nobody is stopping you, nor does it ever. You only get better at this. We only get better at this. Everything only gets better. How about that thought? Things only ever get better. That thought feels good to me. That thought feels good to me. Even as I'm noticing there are other thoughts trying to challenge it, I'm just seeing, hey, those challenging thoughts don't feel good. This one does. So I'm going to focus my attention on this one and not worry, not care about these other thoughts. Because I don't have to think them. I can choose not to resist them, not to align with them. I can just let them be, watch them fly around. That's fine. My focus is on this thought that feels good to me, that I am in alignment with. So I'm choosing to think this. I'm choosing to put my focus and my energy here. And I know that that's all it takes, that I'm on it. I am on it. I'm getting this. I'm good at this, and I'm only getting better. Everything only gets better. That's your power, divine deliberate creator. Choose to use it right now. There's nothing stopping you. You can't get it wrong. You're here to feel good. If you're telling a story that doesn't feel good, you don't have to keep telling it. It's not true, and it's not serving you. So pick a new one. Pick one that does. What's your story? It's the one that feels the best to you. I believe in you. I believe in us. I believe in this. And I know that we got this. Because we are so good. And there is nothing stopping us. There is nothing keeping us from our desire. There's nothing keeping us from basking in it, enjoying it, and knowing that we receive it. There's nothing that keeps us from receiving it. I'm so proud of you. Get out there and think some radically good feeling thoughts. Just because you can. You can. You're allowed. So do it. Just to please yourself. I love you so much.